Most countries have tens, hundreds, or even thousands of geographic features that could be described as impressive. That could be a super tall mountain, coral reef system, or perhaps a giant lake. Some countries, of course, have more impressive features than others. For example, a tiny island country may only offer a couple, whereas a gigantic country with many different terrains might have a fair few to choose from. So let's go through what I believe is every UN country's most impressive geographic feature. Now, of course, as just mentioned, there are many different features a country can offer. If you disagree with any that I give, please do comment below. So without further ado, let's start with our first country, Afghanistan, with its Hindu Kush mountain range. This mountain range stretches some 800 kilometers and offers raw picturesque scenery like this. Albania, its Adriatic coastline. Its coastline along the Adriatic stretches some 476 kilometers, where you'll find crystal clear water beaches like this. Algeria, the Sahara Desert. Incredibly, 90% of the country is covered by this desert. Andorra, the Pyrenees Mountains. These mountains separate the Iberian Peninsula with the rest of Europe. Angola, Calandula Falls. Although not the largest waterfall system on the continent, it is still one of the most spectacular. Antigua, its white sand beaches, turquoise water, and pristine coral reefs. Argentina, Iguazu Falls. Iguazu Falls is actually the largest waterfall system on the planet due to its 250 or so individual waterfalls. It sits on the border with Argentina and Brazil. Armenia, Mount Aragat. At 4,090 meters tall, Mount Aragat is the tallest mountain in the country and the 5th tallest in Europe. Australia. Now this one was a little tricky. For me, it's a toss-up between Ayers Rock and the Great Barrier Reef. However, with Ayers Rock simply just being a gigantic rock, as iconic as it is, in my opinion the Great Barrier Reef is more impressive and important. Austria, the Austrian Alps. The Austrian part of the Alps makes up 28.7% of the mountain range's entire size, ever so slightly higher than the Italian Alps, which is 27.2%. Azerbaijan, its coastline along the Caspian Sea. Bahamas, Exuma Cays. Here you will find some of the most clear water and white sand beaches not only in the Caribbean but on planet Earth. Bahrain, its Hawar Islands. Bahrain's size means it doesn't have too much to offer geographically, however these islands still look pretty nice. Bangladesh, the Sundarbans. The Sundarbans, although not the prettiest place on earth, are an important mangrove area for animals and plants. Barbados, its Platinum Coast. Just like most Caribbean countries, their main selling point is their white sand, palm trees and turquoise waters. Belarus, the Białowieża Forest. The forest sits on its border with Poland and is the largest primeval forest to exist. This forest is also home to 800 European bison. Belgium, its Ardennes Forest. Much of the Ardennes is covered in dense forest. It covers an area of some 11,200 kilometers squared, about the same size as the country of Gambia. Belize, the Great Blue Hole. This incredible looking underwater sinkhole is circular in shape. It's 318 meters across and 124 meters deep. Benin, Penjari National Park. Across this park you'll find many of Africa's biggest and most impressive animals. Bhutan, the Himalayas. Bhutan's position within the Himalayas ranks this country as the most mountainous on Earth. Bolivia, Salar de Uyuni, otherwise known as the Bolivian Salt Flats. At around 11,000 kilometers squared, the salt flat is larger than Jamaica. Bosnia, the Dinaric Alps. The Dinarics run from Slovenia in the north through Bosnia and all the way into Albania and Kosovo. Botswana, the Okavango Delta. Covering an area larger than East Timor, this park is an absolute paradise for Africa's greatest animals. Brazil, the Amazon rainforest. Although the Amazon spans across 8 countries in total, 60% of the entire forest is found in Brazil alone. Brunei, Ulu Temberon National Park. This park is said to be Brunei's #1 tourist attraction. The forest here is said to be in pristine condition. Bulgaria, the Rila Mountains. This mountain range is not only the highest in Bulgaria, but the highest in the Balkan Peninsula and Southeast Europe. Burkina Faso, Arli National Park. This relatively small park is made up of dense forests and waterlogged savanna grasslands, where, just like many other African countries, is where you'll find incredible fauna and flora. Burundi, Lake Tanganyika. The lake is a bit of a hidden wonder. It is the second oldest freshwater lake in the world. It's the second largest by volume and the second deepest. Cape Verde, Fogo Volcano. This active stratovolcano is the largest in the archipelago. The main cone last erupted in 1680. Cambodia, the Cardamom Mountains. These mountains can be found in the southwest of the country and offer dense forest, waterfalls and indigenous peoples. Cameroon, Mount Cameroon. Standing over 4,000 meters tall, Mount Cameroon is an active volcano that last erupted in 2012. Canada, Banff National Park. Canada is arguably the single most beautiful country on the planet, with this park and this specific spot being perhaps its best. The Central African Republic, Manavo Gaundu St. Floris National Park. At over 17,000 kilometers squared, this national park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the largest in the country. It is home to Africa's greatest animals. Chad, Lake Chad. This freshwater lake varies in size throughout the year. At its peak, it stretches across 4 different countries. Chile, the Andes Mountains. At over 7,000 kilometers long, this mountain range runs through the backbone of Chile. China. China was a tough one, however, as I'm a big fan of Avatar, that's the movie with the big blue people, not the anime, I'm gonna give it to Zhangjiajie National Forest Park, where the movie was based on. Colombia, the Amazon rainforest. Around 42% of the country's entire size is found in the Amazon, the world's largest rainforest. Comoros, Mount Cathala. At over 2,300 meters, this active volcano is also the highest point in the country. Congo, the Congo rainforest. Around 2/3 of this country is found within this rainforest, which is the second largest on the planet. Costa Rica, the Arenal volcano. Found just 90 kilometers northwest of the capital San Jose, you will find this active stratovolcano. The surrounding area is very dense with trees and greenery, making it a mystical looking volcano. The Ivory Coast, Tai National Park. This relatively small national park contains one of the last areas of primary rainforest in West Africa. It was inscribed as a World Heritage Site in 1982 due to the very high diversity of its plants and animals. Croatia, Plitvice Waterfall. This gorgeous waterfall system looks like it is straight out of a Disney movie. Cuba, the Vinales Valley. Found in the west of the country, you'll find this rather unknown and rural palm tree studded area. Quite the contrast to the colourful city of Havana, which is probably the first thing you think of when you think of Cuba. Cyprus, the Troodos Mountains. This mountain range is the largest in the country. It is found pretty much in the centre of the island. In the summer it's lush and green, and in the winter parts are covered in snow. The Czech Republic. Its Bohemian forest along its border with Germany. North Korea, Baekdu Mountain. This mountain sits on the country's border with China. It is an active volcano and features a massive crater lake. It's a shame I'll probably never get the chance to visit here. The DR Congo, the Congo rainforest. Over 1 million kilometers squared of the forest is found in the DRC. Denmark, its territorial claim of Greenland, the world's largest island. What's kind of crazy is that Greenland is nearly 50 times larger than mainland Denmark. Djibouti, Lake Assal. Lake Assal is a crater lake in central Djibouti. At more than 150 meters below sea level, it's the lowest point in Africa. Dominica, Boiling Lake. As the name suggests, this lake is boiling hot. At around 70 meters across, it is the second largest hot lake on Earth. The Dominican Republic, Pico Duarte. At 3,100 meters, this peak is the highest point in the Caribbean. Ecuador, the Galapagos Islands. Found around 1,000 kilometers west of the mainland, this archipelago is world famous for its flora and fauna. Egypt, the River Nile. At over 6,500 kilometers long, the Nile was historically the world's longest river. It is known as the lifeblood of civilization. El Salvador, a small country that is home to 20 volcanoes, with Santa Ana volcano being its largest. Equatorial Guinea, Monte Allen National Park. Similar to other African national parks, you'll find dense forest, incredible waterfalls, and animals. In particular, the Goliath frog can be found here, the largest frog on Earth. Eritrea, the Danakil Depression. The depression is one of the hottest places on Earth, as well as one of the lowest too. Estonia, its Baltic Sea coastline. Admittedly, Estonia's geography isn't its best selling point. Its coastline along the Baltic is quite tranquil, however. Eswatini, Ezulwini Valley. This panoramic valley is also known as the Valley of Heaven. Ethiopia, its Simien Mountains. This mountain region is a World Heritage Site. It's full of valleys and rising pinnacles. Fiji, Great Astrolabe Reef. At over 120 kilometers of coral gardens, the reef ranks as the 4th largest on Earth. Finland, the Archipelago Sea. This region includes many thousands of islands and islets, which is why the country ranks as having the 3rd most islands on Earth. France, Mont Blanc. At 4,809 meters, Mont Blanc is the tallest mountain in Western Europe. It is also arguably the most famous too. Gabon, Loango National Park. This national park is found along the Atlantic coast of the country. It is especially known as a place where elephants often swim in the ocean. Gambia, the Gambia River, which runs some 1,120 kilometers. Georgia, the Caucasus Mountains. Around 60% of the country is found within this mountain range, providing stunning views like this. Germany, its Black Forest. At over 6,000 kilometers, this dense evergreen forest contains many quintessential charming German villages like this. The forest is found close to its border with France. Ghana, its Volta River, which runs some 1,500 kilometers. Greece, the Aegean Sea. Found between Greece and Turkey, this sea is home to around 1,400 islands and turquoise blue waters. Grenada, Grand Etang Lake. The lake was formed by the crater of a now extinct volcano. The surrounding area is full of lush green hills and mountains. Guatemala, Volcan de Fuego. This active volcano has pretty much continuously been erupting since 2002. It also looks over Antigua, one of Guatemala's most famous cities. Guinea, Fouta Jalan Waterfall System. This waterfall system, although massively unknown, is an absolute spectacle to say the least. Guinea-Bissau, its Basagos Islands archipelago. This archipelago is found around 50 kilometers off the coast of the country and is known as a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. Guyana, Kaieteur Falls. This waterfall is a bit of an unknown hidden gem. It is actually the largest single drop waterfall in the world. Haiti, its Labadie Peninsula, which is a pretty Caribbean-esque bit of coastline found in its north. Honduras, its Bay Islands. The Bay Islands are found within the Mesoamerican Reef System, which provides amazing coral gardens like this. Hungary, the Danube River. At 2,850 kilometers, the Danube is Europe's 2nd longest river. It flows straight through the heart of Hungary. Iceland. For a small country, Iceland certainly has plenty to offer in terms of geography, so this one was tough. So I'm going to give this one to the Vatnajökull Glacier, the largest in the country, which is responsible for views like this. India. India is another tough one due to how much it offers. If it wasn't for other countries having the Himalayas running through it, I would have said the Himalayas. But to stop repeating the same features, I'm going to give this one to the River Ganges, due to its historical and spiritual importance. Indonesia. Indonesia is absolutely full to the brim with impressive geography, so this one was very tough. But due to its uniqueness, I'm going to give this one to Mount Ijen, a stunning volcano that spews blue lava. Iran. The Zagros Mountains. At over 1,600 meters long, this mountain range flows from Iran's northwest all the way into its east. Iraq. The Tigris River. The Tigris runs from Turkey through Iraq before emptying into the Persian Gulf. In terms of human civilizations, the river was historically very important. Ireland. The Cliffs of Moher. The cliffs are Ireland's most visited natural attraction and have inspired movies, poets, and musicians for many generations. Israel, the Dead Sea. At 420 meters below sea level, this extremely salty body of water is the lowest lying point on Earth's surface. Italy, the Amalfi Coast. Although only stretching 50 kilometers, this coastline is one of the most beautiful spots on the continent. Jamaica, its blue mountains. Japan, Mount Fuji. Other than perhaps Mount Everest and a couple of others, Mount Fuji is easily one of the most famous mountains on the planet. Jordan, Wadi Rum. If you've ever seen the film Dune, you know exactly why this desert is so special. Kazakhstan, the Altai Mountains. One of the most raw and picturesque places on the planet. Kenya, its Great Rift Valley. This valley is believed to be currently creating the next continent. Kiribati, Kirimati, also known as Christmas Island. Kuwait, Kuwait Bay, a bay found in the east of the country along the Persian Gulf where you'll see many flamingos. Kyrgyzstan, Issyk-Kul Lake, a lake larger than the country of Brunei with stunning mountains in the background. Laos, Kwangsi Falls. Still to this day, this is arguably the best waterfall I've ever seen with my own two eyes. The blueness of the water makes it look like CGI or something. Latvia, Garja National Park. This is just a nice, relatively small nature zone. It looks especially pretty in the winter. Lebanon, Cedars of God, a forest full of cedar trees with important spiritual value. Lesotho, its Malotai Mountains. These mountains make Lesotho one of the most mountainous countries on the planet. Liberia, Mount Nimba, a pretty simple UNESCO heritage site. It's a grassy mountain with its peak being the highest within the region. Libya, the Sahara Desert. Similar to Algeria, some 90% of the country's entire land is covered by the Sahara. Liechtenstein, the Alpine Mountains. Liechtenstein is one of the smallest countries on Earth, yet boasts some truly spectacular views. Lithuania, the Curonian Spit, a 98-kilometer long spit that connects Lithuania with Kaliningrad. Luxembourg, the Ardennes Forest, which it shares with France and Belgium. Alright, so that takes us to around the halfway mark. Stay tuned for part 2, which will release in a few days' time.